If you know the value of taking notes for thinking and writing, at some point you end up with a pile of notes. And then comes the question, how can you organize that pile of notes so you can take the best advantage of it? Finding your ideas or maybe using them for something else. Or better saying, how can you create a knowledge system that works for you? And our expectation is that you just put a little bit of effort on it and we end up with a knowledge system that works for us. But reality though is a little bit different. So in this video, we talk about the 3 challenges that most people face when trying to create a knowledge system that works for them. Let's get started. The video you're about to watch is part of a free mini course on how to create a knowledge system that works for you without having to abandon your favorite app or end up with an impossible to maintain structure. So if you want to have access to the full course, just check the description of this video. In this video, we investigate a common journey for people who are trying to create a system that works for them. In this process, I will invite you to notice in which part of that path you are, okay? And see the types of challenges that you have faced in your own journey. And at the end of the video, if you feel comfortable, just share your answer in the comments below. So let's get started. So where does our journey start? First, you see the benefits of thinking and writing your thoughts down, either to make sense of your thoughts, or because you want to communicate, or because you have a huge project that you need to deliver your knowledge on. So you already know that writing down your thoughts is beneficial to you. And then you start that journey, you start taking notes, and the notes start to accumulate. And then at some point, you face a problem where you cannot find things that you want anymore. You can find an idea anymore if you want to use for a report, or you feel your ideas are somewhat scattered. You wrote a lot, you had some clarity at that moment in time, but now there is so much knowledge and you don't really know how you can organize that in a way that makes sense to you, that brings clarity of mind. And that's where our journey starts on how can you create a system that works for you. And the expectation usually is there to be a straight line. I'll just spend a little bit of effort, I'll think a little bit about it, and then suddenly I have the perfect system that works for me. Unfortunately, most of the time, most people that I work with, that's not the reality. Before they arrive here at the Lifelong Learners Paradise, this is usually the path that most people follow. First, they know the problem. Okay, I want to organize my notes. I want to extract knowledge from them, find things again. And then in that process, a shiny new app appears. May it be Notion, maybe it be Obsidian, Rom, Tana, Screental, Heptabase, wherever they may be. There is always a case where a new shiny app appears and then they decide, and they usually come with this claim that they work the way your brain works. Later on, they change that claim. It's very often, but most often they say it works for you. Okay. And then what we do, we believe in that promise. It seems a cool app. So we transfer all our notes into that cool app. And what happens with that process, we just transfer all our way of doing things into a new app. But it's still the same way of doing things, just with new resources. Okay. As soon as we start work with that app, we abandon a little bit the thinking and writing and start learning the app, because the app will solve the problem. Okay, and we start, wow, this app is awesome. We tell everyone that the app is awesome. And then the next step, we sort of spend days, if you're lucky, weeks, and sometimes even months just learning about the app, just transferring our knowledge, using all possible features of the app. And at the end, we end up in the same spot. We still cannot find something when you need. We just have notes that we took our pile of notes, we separated multiple piles of notes with some things around them. Tags that we have tried, maybe links we have tried, maybe like folders we have tried, maybe try to use boards. It still doesn't work. We still cannot find the things we want when we need. It's still blocking our process of thinking and writing. And then that's the moment you realize, well, maybe just change it to another app is not a solution. Some people will jump 3 apps before they arrive at a conclusion, which is normal. Okay, so if that happened with you, that's okay. that's normal. But then at some point, it's like, well, maybe the app is actually not the solution to my case. And that's where they decided to continue the journey. And as they continue the journey, they remember some YouTube videos that they saw when they were searching for app information. Okay, so then what happens? At that moment in time, a magic YouTube video appears, claiming that it's not about the tool, because it's not. So let me show you how you can do it my way. This works for me, this works for a few other people, it will work for you as well. So come along, join my group, buy my course, do my thing, it will work for you. That's usually the promise. Then what happens? People follow that because the methods are good. There are many good methodologies out there. Okay. And then I say, okay, now I will start tinkering with the system. I will not change the app because they claim it works for my app. So let me just tinker with the system. Let me organize things in a different way. And after usually like a few weeks, it's like, okay, it's organized. It looks better now. It feels better. It looks more, everything is in its own place. And at that moment, I say, okay, the problem is solved. Let me go back to the original thing that I want to do, which is the thinking and the writing. And as we go back to our natural process of doing that, we say, I have this new, it doesn't match that structure. And then comes another, it doesn't match. And then we start creating additional boxes and things and places and a way. At the end, we end up in the same spot because everything is a mess, okay? That way of organizing felt good, but when it comes into our natural flow of thinking and writing, what we want to support, it breaks down, okay? And then we notice there is too much friction. We are stopping our thinking and writing all the time to try to figure out how to deal with that system that we are embedding for others that doesn't quite fit us, okay? So maybe the methodology doesn't work for me. That's the moment it's like, well, the problem is not that the methodology is bad, but it doesn't really work for me. And then some people start, okay, let's continue our journey. This one methodology was not the solution. Let's see what else you can do. And usually at that point in time is that people say like, do you know what? I will do it my way. If I try the app way, it doesn't work. I try another person's way, it doesn't work. I'll just do it my way. And that's where people go crazy, okay? Yeah. That is when it starts what I call the system frenzy. We start looking all books, videos, talking to people, joining communities and going everywhere. And that's where the moment, if you know this term, that's the moment to become a PKM. Congratulations, you are now a PKM, okay? That's where people start to understand what PKM is. They know the word PKM. And if you don't know, you don't need to care about what it is. But if you hear someone say PKM, it's this process of trying to figure out how my system should work. Okay. And then it's very interesting. You always see people asking. I always have people coming to me. I need a coaching session because I just need to integrate my fleeting and permanent nodes to my maps of content into a Parabase for the system enriched by super tag based automations. And I ask like, why do you want this specific system in this way? And the answer is usually like, so that I can then start thinking and writing again. Okay. So that's often the journey that I see people facing. And as they try to go in that journey, they create a system, what they end up with what I call a Frankenstein system, okay? There are patches of different methodologies. There are sometimes even multiple apps. There are things like trying to connect everything into a system that is really hard to maintain because the structure is very flimsy, okay? It doesn't really match what the person is trying to do. It's just pieces of nice stuff that came from all the sides because people say, I should do this way, you should do this way, this is very good, this worked for that person who wrote 80 books in their lives. Okay, there are people who wrote a lot of books and they don't have any system, so there you go. Not formal system like we talk about. So at that moment, so in the path, okay, you awake the Frankenstein, and that's where you say, where did it go wrong? And that's where I see people joining my community. They're either at the beginning of the path, they found the shiny app, they say that's not the solution. They heard me say that the tool is not the solution. Someone offered a magic glove, they join community course and stuff, they say, well, it still doesn't work for me. It's good, but there is something missing. Or they have been trying the free route, like checking everything, every book, every YouTube video, and try to create by themselves, and ending up with the Frankenstein system. Okay. So when they look back, what happens? You notice that they spend most of the time working on the system, tinkering with the system, learning about the app, trying to put things together, okay? Which is maybe exciting and a very good way of procrastinating when thinking becomes hard, okay? And we don't have a system that makes things easier. And very little part working with the system on what they actually care about, which is the thinking and the writing. Is to making sense of the ideas, is to ensuring that what our thoughts are connected, they are coherent, that we can express them to others, that we can grow original ideas, because that's why we started this journey. So notice that we spend a lot of time on the system and not on the reason why we started the journey in the first place. Okay? And that's the moment when the real decision comes. Some people say, okay, I'll give one more chance. There is still I'm closer to it. So they join the community, they continue in this journey, try to identify what's the right way for them, reflecting, or they give up. I don't care. I don't want this anymore. Okay. And that's where this meme, I don't know if you have seen, comes from. Because many people say, well, people who know nothing, they are just like thinking, writing, create their notes, the beginning of the journey, they are just using a simple tool. I will use an Apple Note. And then they start that journey of trying to organize their knowledge. And then they go into this craziness, app methodologies, how to connect everything, creating the Frankenstein system. And then at the end, when they realize what the solution is, and we'll see that in this course, they're like, well, maybe I don't need all this. I just need my original app and a different way of seeing things. Okay. And then people say, it's the same thing. I say, well, there is a difference between these two people, the people at the beginning of the journey and people at the end. The people at the beginning, they still have the problem, okay? They have a pile of notes, they have a practice, but there is scattered thoughts. I cannot find things where I want. I'm always searching for knowledge that I know I have probably remembering. So there are all those things that people in that situation, they have. But then the people who are in the other side, they are, well, how can I have a knowledge that works for me? They have a different way of thinking, okay? They have a different way of seeing the system, and now they actually have a system that works for them, okay? So that's the main difference. It's not about the app, but it's about how you look at things and how to build that system, okay? And that's what you see in this course, okay? So I invite you to come in this journey with me in the hope that if you are at the beginning of the journey, you can skip all those steps and go straight into a knowledge system that works for you, okay? Or if you have been to this journey, how can you not just, oh yeah, I lost a lot of time, but how can you take advantage of the knowledge you have acquired in this journey to finally create a system that works for you? If you are a note taker, let me know in the comments in which step you are on in this whole journey. And in the next videos, we'll go a little bit deeper in each one of those 3 challenges. But if you don't want to wait, you want to have access right now, just go in the comments of this video and I have a free mini course on how to create a system that works for you. Otherwise, see you in the next video.